Monday, July 16th. I'm Scott.
I'm Rim.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, we give you our opinion on software piracy. Arr.
Let's do this. Well, we're back from Kineticon, and surprisingly, we can still talk. Yeah, Scott's a little tired. He's not actually sleeping. You see, one of the tricks in radio is that you can have sound effects, but you can't see how we're making the sound effects. So, you see, Scott's not actually asleep. He's just sitting there going... I guess that's more of a Katsu snore, but you get the drift.
I don't even snore, so the sound of me sleeping is like this.
No, you make noises.
Like what?
Like, Anyway, as you might all remember last year at Otakon, we only did two panels at Otakon, and just from all the other yelling throughout the weekend, we lost our voices to the point of I was coughing up blood, and we both had to medicate ourselves.
You weren't coughing up blood.
I cough up blood fairly often.
You should go to a doctor about that.
No, it's a well-known. It's just my throat and my sinuses and all that garbage.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
If I'm coughing up blood, I go to the hospital. That's all I got to say.
No, I've coughed up blood as a kid, and they said, well, your throat is irritated, probably from talking too much, and probably from a post-nasal drip. All of those factors combined suck.
Time to get a new throat.
I'm working on that. But no, we did 7 panels at Kineticon, and as you can hear, I can still talk.
I can also still talk, but that's because some of the panels did not involve much talking, and most of the con I was not yelling, like Otakon, where basically I'm constantly yelling the whole weekend.
Yeah, I think the answer is, at Otakon, I'm going to wear earplugs pretty much for the entire convention.
That really helped me out a lot at KatsuCon, was wearing earplugs, because if you wear earplugs that reduce, say, all noise that you hear by 20 decibels or so, you can still hear things. I mean, I guess if a sound is under 20 decibels, you can't hear it. But other than that, you can hear people talking to you enough, and you talk louder than what you hear. So you're actually talking 20 decibels less. You know, it's a psychological thing. Like, I will talk loud enough so that I think I can be heard over the noise I'm hearing. So I'm hearing less noise, I will talk less loud, and thus save my voice.
But at the same time, you wearing those headphones, or those earplugs, was actually pretty annoying because you pretty much didn't hear all the times when people called your name, or needed you, or talked to you, and you just kind of sat there oblivious staring at things.
Awesome! Awesome. All right.
Yeah, so this might be a short episode, partly because we've got both Ido and Ananth downstairs reading our comics.
It's going to be short episodes all week, people. Get used to it.
And Emily's making us some bagel pizzas.
This is the annual calm down time.
Yeah, you remember, this week does not exist for us right now, because we went to Kineticon last weekend, and...
You mean yesterday and the day before?
Yes, and this weekend, starting Thursday morning, we're driving to Otakon.
I only have to work 2 more days, and then we're gone for 11 days.
And then we're going to be at the shore on our writer's retreat until the Monday after that.
Yep.
And these 3 days, I'm at work in body, but my mind is already on the shore. Not even Otakon. It skips Otakon and goes straight to the beach.
My mind is in the ocean going whoosh, and it's playing DDR also.
The best part, there's supposed to be a gigantic thunderstorm pretty much all through Otakon and Wildwood. That's going to end right about as we go to the shore.
Awesome.
So that's going to get rid of all the jellyfish.
It's also going to get people wet at Otakon. Bring your umbrellas to Otakon, people.
Yes.
Umbrellas.
Especially if you're going to the Geeknights panel.
Yo, you want to bring a poncho for that one.
Yeah.
Ponchos.
Oh, and I do have to say, I'm going to mention this again on Wednesday, but Gerald doesn't have the high opinion of himself that I do, apparently. So I have to anti-endorse what he's doing. He's not doing anything special at the Geeknights panel. In fact, he's planned 10 minutes of unfunny garbage for the end of our Geeknights panel.
Maybe we'll have to kick him off.
Yeah, he's going to sit there and be really lame, apparently.
Okay.
Right, so what do you got in the news?
Apparently, and this is New York Times here. This isn't bullshit, all right? And apparently...
Oh, because the New York Times is the paragon of unbiased journalism.
Yes. Well, no, some guys wrote a book. And these are guys from the Boston University School of Law. So this is something, right?
All right.
The guys are named James Besson and Michael J. Meurer, I guess. Meurer, Meurer. And the book they wrote was called Do Patents Work? ?
Is the answer No.
The answer is sometimes. Apparently, in the pharmaceutical industry, right, 2/3 of the revenues are attributable to patents. So without patents, drug companies are going to lose 2/3 of their money.
Take that, whoever it was in our forum who was trying to argue some crazy conspiracy about the drug companies.
Yes. However, apparently in every other industry, just about every other industry, especially the IT industry.
Oh, I wonder why. Because a patent takes X years to expire, but technology is useless or needs to be built upon and improved by other people, I don't know, about 6 months after it gets come up with.
No. And especially the IT industry, but also just about every other industry, it costs more to deal with patents than you earn from them. All your patent lawyers and your patent workers and your spending money on filing the patents and dealing with them and licensing patents from other people cost companies as a whole more money than they get from dealing with all that bullshit.
I could believe that because the one patent that I've got to my name that hasn't even been fully approved yet, but is still in the process and all that, the amount of paperwork I had to deal with, not even working at the company anymore, just to have my name on it, it was kind of scary.
Yep. So what these guys say basically is that in many industries, especially IT, patents do not make economic sense. However, their views are less radical than the guys at Washington University at St. Louis, the economists there, who say the patent system should be abolished outright. So they're not saying get rid of patents. They're saying, wow, patents are really fucked up.
What a rational and moderate opinion on the internet.
Oh, and, well, it's not on the internet.
Oh, it's in a book.
It's in a book.
Of course.
By some professors. Yes. So whenever you have to argue about patents with someone, or if you plan on arguing about patents a lot, get this book. I'm actually going to add this book to my wanted list on Listal right now.
Yeah. So in other news, I found this kind of interesting because I had no idea this was coming up, and it frightens me that it's also the year of my birth. But apparently, in July of 1982...
Hey, I wasn't alive then yet.
Yeah.
Not for 3 more months.
I was already alive.
Oh, man.
And I had been for a while.
Oh, man.
You should respect your elders.
No.
Anyway, the first computer virus was created. At least the first known computer virus. And all it did, I didn't even know about what this virus was, is if it saw you using a floppy disk, it copied itself to the floppy disk.
That's it?
And then I guess it would infect the computer and then try to infect any other floppy disks.
Did it do anything?
No, it was just annoying.
How is it annoying if it didn't do anything?
You know how big that was compared to how little that floppy disk was?
Excellent move.
It might have done something
salute
else.
You, virus maker.
I don't know, but I must say, that brought me back because viruses... You see, a lot of people say, oh, a computer virus, but really there's a kind of specific nomenclature about viruses, worms, trojans, rootkits, all these different kinds of malware now. But back in the day, there were basically just trojans and viruses, and worms were like this mythical thing that everyone...
Worms didn't happen until there was more networking. You need networking to have worms.
Worms didn't happen until Windows.
Well, until Windows 95 and internets. Then
Yes.
that... Oh, and broadband internets. Not even with dial-up. You didn't have worms yet, really.
Yeah.
It wasn't until everyone had cable modems and everyone had Windows 98 or 2000 or XP.
But you see, back in the day, the internet was 100% safe. You couldn't get a malware because there wasn't any. There was no spyware out there. There weren't any Trojans. You didn't go to a website and they'd say, download my thing, but it was actually a virus. Viruses were usually things that hackers made that were funny, and then they infected other people's computers with them. I will note that I did this somewhat often because I actually had a virus collection. I had a little box of floppy disk, and each floppy had the name of the virus, and I had a little database of what they did, and I thought they were really cool. I had the Form virus. I had the Ogre. The Ogre was bad news. I was afraid of that one.
I don't understand. Back in the day, when the original viruses, or the early viruses...
Like Cookie Monster?
Yes, if you actually caught them for real, they actually infected you, they would fuck you up. The Ogre virus destroyed your hard drive, physically.
Well, what it did is it basically encrypted your hard drive bit by bit, also thrashing the drive as much as it could physically. And that was it.
Yeah.
There was no way out. There's
Nowadays,
no way to fix it.
Everyone who makes these malwares is actually, they're not trying to hurt you. They're just trying to profit in some way with their spyware or their spam zombies or something like that. They want to take over your computer and use it for their own means of making money, which I can understand. But I wonder, like, how come there aren't any viruses that fuck up your computer? You think there'd be at least one guy writing a virus that would just format everyone's hard drive?
Of course, at the same time, well, at least on Linux, that's really hard to do. But yeah,
Yes.
in Windows, it'd be really easy to do that.
I always wondered, like, remember what was that one that, like,
You want
I
to know
love
why?
you?
I think
or-
the easy answer is simply that back when people were writing viruses just for the hell of it, there was no real financial incentive. People wrote a virus to see if they could do it or to be a shitcocker. It wasn't for any other reason.
But you're
And in
saying there
fact-
aren't shitcockers anymore. Is that what
No,
you're-
I'm saying that the shitcockers don't have the ability to write modern viruses. And anyone who has the ability to write a virus would much rather write spam software and make a pile of money.
Yeah, I just really wish that one person would go out and write a big virus that'll infect the world and format all the hard drives.
That would actually no. My idea for a virus like that is so much more sinister.
Okay.
I would make a worm or a virus that went around and infected everyone as subtly as possible. And what it would do is look for any Excel spreadsheets, access databases, and anything,
Word documents.
and just randomly change a few numbers and a few words in all of them. And that's it.
I would have it like slowly like degrade them over time. So like at first it would change a word or a letter, and then it would change some other things, and eventually the whole thing would become a complete mess, and it would like encrypt things, and like if it saw a Word document being saved, it would immediately like go and change like 5 words in the thing you just saved.
Yeah.
Or if
well,
it saw something being printed, it would put some spelling errors into it in between the software and the printer, so it would look right in your document, but when you printed it, it would be wrong.
See, I think part of it also was that a lot of kids back then who were into hacking and whatever would make viruses to try to like bust up all their friends, and then that's how it originated.
Yep.
And also, most of the viruses, while there were bad ones like the Ogre, most of them were really benign or kind of funny. Like, I actually got infected with a virus way back in the day when I went to Starbase Camp, and someone gave me a copy of XCOM Mission UFO.
Oh.
And on one of the discs was the form virus. And you know what the form virus did? You know what it did to me? And I didn't even know I had it for the longest time. And I had the effects happen, but I had no idea that such a thing as a virus existed. On the 18th day of every month, if you had a US keyboard, like the keyboard setting was set to US, every time you hit a key, the PC speaker would go click.
Okay.
That was it. That was all it did. I had it for years. And when I
Awesome.
found out what it was, I isolated it, I put it on a floppy, and I kept it because I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Then I remember I used to saran wrap, I'm not going to get into this. I'll do a show about it someday, but I used to make discs that were basically Trojan horses to steal documents from people and then infect them with backdoors so I could go steal the rest of the documents.
Haha.
I only ever used them on my one friend in middle school,
Haha.
and all I ever got were his homeworks.
I'm in your computer stealing your homework.
Thing is, he wasn't really that smart, so it's not like I could steal his
He just
homework.
deleted his homeworks.
No, I wasn't gonna be a griefer. I wanted to be a hacker. Hacking was cool. I'd seen war games,
Oh man.
and I really wanted to be a hacker, but I
You
wasn't
could have
good.
just sat home and played tic-tac-toe. What was your problem?
I wasn't good enough to really be a hacker.
You weren't good enough to win at tic-tac-toe? I guess.
Well, it depends on if I start. Things of the day.
Things of the day.
So, you want to go first? Usually, I go first.
All right. This thing of the day is sort of torn on because it's a really good idea and it is successfully executed, but it is a poor execution. Basically, what this is a mashup of lolcats and dig. Not that those weren't mashed together already.
Kind of mashed them more.
Yes. Basically, it's a website. And
More.
you go to the website, and the website takes the dig headlines, and for every dig headline, it automatically generates a lolcat. And it's sort of like it just takes all the headlines from the front page of dig and makes a bunch of lolcats in the same order. So you go to the website, and there's a bunch of lolcats. But that's a great idea. That's like genius, like super genius. But it just chooses the cats at random and puts the text on there in the same font.
So it's just totally nonsensical, and not in the good way that lolcats normally are, but in this really kind of not funny way.
Yeah, because the thing about a lolcat, right, that you have to understand is that the words go with the expression of the cat.
For example, invisible bicycle, right?
Yeah.
It's a cat, and it kind of looks like he's riding an invisible bicycle.
Oh, really? It's not even a lolcat, it's a lol owl, but it's
Oh, really?
an owl that looks like he's asking, "Oh, really?" So
You know what? I haven't seen him in a while, and I just kind of cracked up because I suddenly remembered how awesome that owl is.
yeah, is that owl actually dead or is it still a rumor?
I heard that the owl had died, but then I heard that hearing the owl had died was a rumor. Then I heard that it really died. Then I heard that was just a Damon Wayans, so I don't know.
I don't know, but I'm gonna find an owl like that at some zoo or something and we'll look at it. Just because I want to see one of those owls. But like for example, here's a headline. There's a headline on Dig: Top 10 Worst Web App Names, and there's just a picture of a cat looking at you.
Now, see, what they should have had is the "You're Doing It Wrong" cat. That would have fit.
Yep. So if there was some way that someone was like manually choosing the cats from like a set of cats to go with the headlines, this could be much funnier.
Or maybe if someone did it manually for a while and you tagged cats based on categories, and then you could have some sort of filter or marginal AI that would look at the words in a headline and guess at the best lolcat based on an algorithm.
Something like that. But as it is, it's a very great idea and it's ingenious, but the humor of lolcats is lost.
So, riddle me this, Scott. Did you ever in your life up until today think that you would use the word genius and the word lolcat in the same sentence?
I didn't think. No, I did not think in advance that, I will never use those words in a sentence, or that I will. I just didn't think about it at all. It was not something that came to mind. But if you told me if 5 days ago you told me I was going to do that, I would say, maybe.
I've never seen someone ruin a joke so thoroughly.
Yeah.
I don't know what I can say to that, except...
Well, that's sort of like what this thing of the day is that this great joke of lolcats is ruined.
Now, the big question, was that intentional, or was that a save?
That was a save.
Oh, because you should have said it was intentional, because then it would have been perfect.
No, it's intentional. That means we planned it out.
Oh, we're so spontaneous and hip that we just kind of come up with things like that on the fly. I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, I actually did just come up with that as a save.
Right. So, in other news, in my thing of the day, all the ducks are swimming in the water.
Well, no, some of the ducks fly around, and some of them kind of walk around. And
those weren't ducks; those were other animals. The ducks were in the water right up until they start dancing.
What?
You've seen my thing of the day. You can't pretend you haven't.
I know, but I was gonna make some joke about duck hunt.
Yeah, this is the week of me using things of the day that other people have given me. Partly because they're not on Dig. What? That's Hogan's Alley.
No, it's not.
Oh, yeah, it's not. Good thing I didn't do that on a Tuesday where Dave and Joel would say something about that.
Yeah, all right. So,
our dear friend Ido, who is downstairs right now watching Zaizan Jotaro with Ananth and Emily. If you haven't heard our show about that, even if you hate anime, you should probably check that out.
No, not really.
Yes. Oh, yeah, really?
No, not really.
But
butt sex.
She told me about this video a long time ago, and I just never got around to watching it. So now she's here. She forced me to watch it, and it's fairly awesome. And I'd recommend that you not only watch this, but watch many, if not all, of the related videos by the same person.
What is it, like lemon jelly, I think?
Something like that.
It seems, I can't really tell what it is, and I'm not going to look it up because I'm lazy, but it seems like it's a musical group, and all their music videos are sort of psychedelic animations of some sort, which is cool. I like those.
And I want to know from all of you, when you watch the first one, the one I'm actually linking to, who is that person?
Is it A,
Karl Marx,
B, Santa Claus, or C, Alan Moore, or D, all of the above?
See, from the wrong angle, it could be Rasputin, too.
No, it can't be Rasputin. Rasputin had a narrower, longer, darker beard.
Yeah, but it could have been Rasputin.
His head was narrower.
Remember, he was shot, stabbed, poisoned, whatever. This is after the fact when he crawled out of the lake.
When he's all swollen.
See, he didn't die. He just crawled out of that lake.
And he became Karl Marx.
Yeah. That would explain a lot. Right.
I think both of them actually lived at the same time, so...
I think I'm just going to point out at this point, once again, that it's been a long weekend, and it's going to be a long week, and we're kind of tired.
Let me actually check on that, if Rasputin and Karl Marx lived at the same time.
Anyway,
Anyway, it's
So tonight, Monday, we were gonna cop out. I didn't want to do a show because I'm tired and I got stuff to do. We have people over. They're downstairs right now. Even though Scott seemed to question whether or not Anand could actually use the Mac.
no, I just didn't think he knew the keyboard shortcut for
Yeah,
M-Player.
you're like, hit space to make the movie go.
Yes, okay, the beginning of Rasputin's life overlapped the end of Marx's life.
So therefore, it is possible that with some trickery, they could have been the same person.
They could have been.
Anyway, tonight we were gonna cop out and then we're gonna do a special. But Scott agreed to take care of all the posting business on the website.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
Very clearly, I said we'll only do the full show if you'll do the post. I have witnesses.
We're not doing a full show. We're going to do it short. Ready? Here we
It's
go.
already a full show. If we got things of the day and the news and a main bit, it's a full show. Unless we stop right now, it's a full show.
Anyway,
Up.
what if I just don't make the post?
Then the show doesn't go up and you just wasted all this time. So tonight we're talking about wares because it's come up in our forums a couple of times and it's come up in my life recently when I tried to wear something for the first time in many, many years and I learned something about the wares industry.
Yeah. Basically, we talk about how...
Or Juarez, if you're a loser.
We talk about how we use Rezan for our podcast, and we talk about how Cool Edit is the bomb, and, someone said, hey, I just wanted to let you know you can get Cool Edit Pro from this torrent tier, right? And I was like, yeah, thanks. That's great. Basically, we have sort of a weird opinion of wares that I don't know how congruent it is with anyone else's. But mostly because we are so open source.
Granted, I used to be real big into software piracy.
I used to not give two shits. I used to feel about software piracy the way I felt about music. I was like, man, you can't be charging this much for software. People need the software to do stuff. There's no alternative. I'm just going to take it. I don't give a crap.
Yep.
It's so easy, and I just copy my friend's Wolfenstein disc and off we go.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny. The first wares I ever got
Wolfenstein 3D.
were XCOM, Mission UFO, and TIE Fighter, and X-Wing, and I think a couple other games. And it didn't even dawn on me that it was in any way shady or illegal or anything.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was illegal to copy the Wolfenstein 3D.
I'm at this day camp, it's like mini space camp at the Air National Guard base where I grew up. And I'm there, and I meet this really cool guy. And he's all, like, computer hackery. Like, he's on the BBSs a lot more than I am. Like, he actually would dial long distance, or he'd hop from BBS to BBS to do the long distance call for free. And I pretty much just dialed, like, the two 2400 BPS ones that were, or baud, I guess, that were in the area that I could actually connect to, that my parents wouldn't yell at me for. And he says, hey, you ever play blah? And I said, what? No. And he says, oh, crap. And he just gives me all these floppies. He says, just install these games. One of them had a virus on it, but other than that, I didn't even think until, like, years later, I went to a store and I saw games for sale for the computer, and I was like, oh.
Oh, when you put in the Doom shareware, and it said, hey, call this number.
Yeah, and I said, you know what? I'm content with playing the shareware part.
Yeah, me too.
And then I paid for Doom 2.
Yeah, I just borrowed my friend's Doom too. Yeah.
Good days.
So, back in the day, when open source wasn't so awesome, and I was mostly playing DOS games and using Windows 3.1, and you needed some sort of non-free software to do just about anything. I mean, there was a day when you could buy Internet Explorer. There was a day when you could buy Netscape Navigator in a box for money, right? And in those days when, even it was pretty much shareware or payware, I didn't really have qualms about, pirating software because it was easy, it was safe, everyone did it, no one even knew it was wrong or bad or anything.
Or they just didn't care.
I mean, it was just common. Everyone would buy software and just install it on every computer of everyone they knew.
Like, for example, I've never in my life met a person who actually registered Scorched Earth. But I knew a lot of people who somehow had the registered version.
I wonder how.
Or I think another one was, there's a game called Stunts 4D Racing. It had a bunch of different other names. This game, as far as I can tell, was installed on almost every computer at every school in the Midwest. And there's floppies of it everywhere. It was a great racing game. Super 3D, well, 4D? No. And every version of it I ever saw had a loading screen that said, cracked by Kill Fit. And then and then every time I played, it would pop up a screen saying, like, what's the fourth word on the third page? But no matter what you typed, it let you play. And I didn't really quite make the connect that Killfit didn't make that game. Cracking was not writing software. Cracking was something far more sinister. I've never seen a legitimate copy of that game.
Wow. Anyway, so in those days, Piracy was cool. And then I started doing the open source stuff. And also, other things started becoming free that, weren't necessarily open source. Web browsers were free. You can get a video playing software for free. You can get audio editing software for free, right? And it was all legally free. And I was still pirating music and such, but everything else was...
I still pirate music.
Yeah, but everything else was becoming free, legally so. So it wasn't that I was still any against software piracy, or that I was for it. It's just that the need to pirate software vanished, and with it, the caring about software piracy.
Yep. I mean, I used to really care about wares, and I'd hang out on wares forums, and I'd look for new stuff, and I'd upgrade my wares. And actually, I remember at RIT, I pirated a lot of things just because the school had licenses for a lot of software that we needed to do our homework and our labs and or whatever in the labs all the way on the other side of the school. And the labs, there was plenty of space. I just didn't want to walk over there in the cold. Mm-hmm. But I could just pirate all the software, and then I didn't have to walk over there, and I could just do my homework in my dorm room. So I had copies of like Director 7 and Flash 3 and Fireworks 3 and all that. And
yeah, the thing is, for me to do my homework in my dorm room actually required more free software, more open source software, and proprietary software didn't help me do my homework in my room at all. So
not that we did much homework.
No, not that
that
we
was
did
a
much
total
homework.
cop-out. I played around with Fireworks on my own a lot more than I ever did classwork with it, so I can't pretend, it was for academic purposes only.
Yeah, I mean, in freshman year, I pirated some games. I mean, technically, actually, I had a copy of Half-Life 1 I got in high school from some kid who basically copied his CD and gave me his key for like $10. I actually paid for it as opposed to buying it for $50.
See, actually,
'Cause I was poor.
While I pirated a fair number of games when I was younger, other than like Stunts and Scorched Earth and LHX and all those ancient games where the company probably didn't even exist anymore, I actually did, in the end, buy legitimate copies of all of those games.
Yeah, but then I had Half-Life 1, and I had this kid's key, basically, and I played that, and then I used that up until college, and I got Counter-Strike, and then when Steam came along, right, because I had the legitimate Half-Life 1, it was automatically added to my Steam, and then I didn't need that Half-Life 1 or that key anymore, so I just tossed it, and now Half-Life 1 is permanently in my Steam, even though I never actually legitimately played for Half-Life 1, but I did pay for Half-Life 2 and a whole bunch of other games on Steam, so I think I'm all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, Steam, pretty much as a lot of people hate it, it works pretty well now, and more importantly, it ended the idea of pirating games on computers, at least those kinds of games.
Yeah, I mean, there's no need to pirate a game because the whole idea of pirating a game was I can get the game now, I can get the game conveniently, I don't have to go to a store, I don't have to deal with CDs, I don't have to deal with keys.
And I don't have to pay
deal with
money.
Bullshit, right?
And you don't have to pay money.
And you don't have to pay money. With Steam, all those problems are also solved, except you still have to pay money, but in many cases, the money is trivial, or the money is taken so easily that it doesn't bother you. Like, for me to pay the $10 to get, like, Uplink and Darwinia was like, whatever, click, sure.
Granted,
it was like getting the
Scott,
game for free.
Could it be that our perspective on the money in the software piracy is somewhat formed or shaped by the fact that as we have gotten older, we have had ever-increasing amounts of money at our disposal?
I think it has, because let me get to my next example.
Because I remember when Tribes 2, I had to own it. Like, there was no question. That was the biggest fucking game when it came out, and it was the biggest fucking game right up until they ruined it. And I still look back upon the days I played that game as some of the best gaming I've ever had.
Yep.
But $55 was a lot of money. And I didn't
for a game
have
that became free and is now unplayable.
But even then, I didn't have $55. I had to forego necessary things to play that game.
I didn't, but that's all right.
Well, I was a lot poorer than you.
You were. Anyway, to prove you right, actually, nowadays, we don't need to pirate software because we use all this free software and happy times. But recently we have become very productive. We've been trying to make a lot of things. And for most things we want to make, we use free software. I mean, I could write programs in open source, compilers and languages and Linux. And I can use Resound to make my podcast and upload it to my WordPress blog on my Linux hosting with my Apache web server, and use FeedBurner, which is free, and everything. Libsyn I pay for and the hosting I pay for, but that's not software. That's just a service. But now we've actually said, hey, we kind of want to try to make some stuff with Flash. And, well, Flash is, according to the Adobe website, when I checked this morning, if I checked correctly, $700 retail.
But I've got that copy of Flash 3. We could use that.
No, that's no good.
I've also got Action 2.1 and 3.0.
Yeah, that's going to be really useful. So now I'm sort of torn here because it's like, for $700, that's like a shit ton of money right there. That's like I could get a computer for that much money.
Well, the thing is, that's more money than we paid for that fancy pants Marantz.
Yeah. Okay, here you go. Flash CS3 Professional, buy US $699 on the adobe.com/product/flash.
But then again,
upgrade from the previous version, $199.
The way I look at that, which previous version? They won't accept Flash 3.
It says upgrade from US, $199. Yeah. Oh, download free trial. Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah. But anyway, I forgot what I was going to say.
Yes. But I think that part of our willingness to pirate before was a need for software that we couldn't really afford in order to get what we needed done. It's like if you need to do something and there are tools to do it and you don't have those tools, but you need to do that thing. You need to get this job done. And you don't have a screwdriver. You're going to probably be willing to steal a screwdriver, especially when you don't have to physically steal a screwdriver and you can just copy someone else's screwdriver. So then when you're able to get the tools for free, legally, you have no need to steal because you're getting everything you want done and you don't care. So you don't even think about stealing. But now when you want another job done and the only tool is a very expensive tool, stealing comes back to mind. And I'm not so sure if I think it's right or wrong to take it.
I think the real answer is going to be very simple and has nothing to do with ethics. And I'm going to recount to all of you the story of when I went back into the Wares world kind of as an expedition when I made my new computer.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the day, Wares was safe. It was actually safe. Never did a Wares cause any problems. And I would have known because I pay a lot of attention to the packets that come in and out of my computer.
Well, some Wareses were unstable. Like you would get a Wares and it wouldn't work quite right.
Yeah,
the game
but they
would crash.
weren't. There was almost no malicious Wares. It was very difficult to find a piece of Wares that had malware in it or a virus in it.
If I downloaded a game that was pirated in some RAR file and got the ISO, burned it, and installed it, 99% chance that game was not a virus.
Now, I went on to the Pirate Bay and a bunch of other places, and I downloaded a whole bunch of torrents of, Audition, even though I don't actually really like Audition that much, and I wouldn't have used it.
Audition only works if you have the fancy digital mixer and stuff to go with it, to do the multi-track.
But I downloaded, 8 or 9 different programs from various Wares sites, and they were all cracked by different people in different groups, and every single one of them was chock full of malware. Every single one compromised my Windows box. Horribly. And one of them, I think the worst was I installed a copy of Audition. This one was worse than all the others. And I had my firewall and my Ethereal and everything ready to see what it tried to do. And it immediately tried to connect to 2,000 different IP addresses.
Wow.
Immediately. It flooded our network.
See, I wonder now, is it companies like Adobe and stuff, maybe they're the ones putting Wares out there to discourage people from pirating their own stuff?
No, because they have other software piracy prevention things. I think it's very simple. It's all spam. I think almost all of it are people paid to write software to infect computers whatever way they can to become spam bots.
And that benefits Adobe somehow.
Yeah.
It's pretty much one of the Adobe and Microsoft, and I guess AutoCAD company, Autodesk or whatever, who makes Studio Max and all such. And then
I remember
the company
Autodesk
that makes Maya, I guess.
Oh, I did have a pirated copy of Autodesk Animator back in the day.
Yeah, but I mean, there aren't too many companies left, besides Adobe/Macromedia that are still selling the big, expensive proprietary software to a lot of people. It's pretty much Microsoft, Adobe, and who else makes Nero, but that's like $50. That's worth it too because it's good. You can actually get Nero Linux for $20 and it's awesome.
Well, there's things like the Lotus suites and all the businessy stuff.
But no one uses the Lotus suite.
Yes, they do.
What?
Don't get me started.
Oh, you worked at IBM, but where else besides IBM?
I could pull it up again.
I guess Oracle is still selling it.
Actually, Scott, we had a list at IBM of all the companies that use it, and it's a
Wow.
lot of big names.
Wow, scary. You sure it's not like they just have it on one computer so that they could be on the list?
I'm sure.
Or are you sure they have a service contract they don't use?
I'm sure.
All right.
I'm sure. I've also learned that a lot of law firms use a lot of really weird office suites.
Yes. There actually, there are lots of companies out there that do make proprietary, expensive, piratable software, but it's not something anyone wants. It's just something only businesses want. So it doesn't get pirated very often. And when it does, you get caught because you're a business.
I mean, we talked about this in the first half of the show. It just comes down to the fact that spam is the fundamental problem of everything on the internet now comes down to spam.
Does everything come down to spam? I don't think so, but a lot of things come
Well,
down
the thing
to
is, spam comes down to insecure Windows boxes.
Yeah, it does.
So that's the core of the internet right now.
It could be. It could be.
I don't know. I don't have any real point. I'm just kind of talking to fill out this episode so I can go to bed.
Yes. I guess our stance on piracy is that I guess it's kind of not okay, but at the same time, it sort of sucks that people need to be able to do things with their computers, and the only way to do it is with an expensive piece of software that no one can afford, and they don't have, is the real, Photoshop. Photoshop is something a lot of people need to do things, and there aren't really alternatives that fit the bill.
Yeah, where you could use the GIMP if you're a masochist.
Yeah. And there are cheaper versions of Photoshop, but they're still really expensive, and they're really hindered. And obviously, the people who are professional artists, whatever, they can afford and they need to afford and they will buy the full version of Photoshop and every upgrade for full price, right? But by marketing the product to those people, which is, I guess, the correct market, other people who need the same tool, right, but can't afford to pay, aren't getting it at a price that they can afford. It's like they had to pay the professional price or pirate, and it seems like the companies aren't doing enough to accommodate those people. Sure, sell your Microsoft Vista for $250 for every computer to a business, but let the home users pay $50. All right, come on. You're making already $1 zillion. You're not making it off the home users, that's for sure.
But how do you set it up so that the businesses don't just buy the home user version?
Because what you do is you find those features, right, that only the professionals or only the businesses use and that they desperately need, but that the home users will never use.
But like what?
And you take those features out.
Like what? Like an audio program, everyone needs everything.
All right, for Photoshop, you could take out CMYK, right? Because home users don't need the CMYK.
I don't know, a lot of hobbyists, or what if you're trying to learn the software? Or you want to learn about that stuff, you're in school. A much better way, and what you could do is just, you have the cheaper versions or the free versions even to get people to use your software. But not maybe digital watermarking is one way, but another way is simply a contractual thing when you buy it and activate it, stating that you cannot use it for commercial purposes.
But that's the thing is I kind of want to do semi-commercial purposes.
Well, then you got to pay.
But I'm not a big-time professional. I'm just a small-time schmuck on YouTube, and I want to make a little flash. I don't want to make a big fancy flash website for my mega corporation.
Yeah, but you know what? To play the devil's advocate here, the company Adobe, they made this program. They put all this money into making it, and it's their proprietary thing. You can just choose not to use it.
But it is sort of a monopoly in a way. Like right now, Flash really has a monopoly as far as I'm concerned. As far as multimedia, interactive web, highly multimedia, highly interactive web content platform. I mean, Java isn't doing it.
But the libertarian would say you can just make an alternative.
But no one can because it's even if you did make an alternative, you can't get the plug-in onto all those computers.
Well,
out
I
there.
guess in the marketplace of ideas, your idea has failed.
Well, no, because it is a monopoly, a technological and economic monopoly.
Oh, so do we need someone to step in and break up the monopoly forcibly? Is that fair to Adobe?
If it's a monopoly, if it's a real monopoly, economically speaking, then yeah.
Is Flash a real monopoly?
It's tough. It's a monopoly of something very small.
All right, then what should be done about that? Should an external force take... I'm not going to specifics here. Should an external force take some action to break that up?
I think that I would not have an objection if the government forced the Flash file format to become open. They shouldn't. The Flash application they can keep because that has, stuff in it. But the file format of SWF should be opened up so that anyone can go and make a program that makes SWF.
Just gave me an idea.
Yep.
In the physical world, there is a concept called eminent domain, where the government can say, this land for the public good will be appropriated, we will pay the owner a just market value price, and this land will now be appropriated for the public use, for the public good. I think the government should have the ability. Now, of course, this has all of the power in the world to be abused, but...
Oh, of course.
I'm just talking about the idea of it, the core. What if the government could eminent domain intellectual property?
I think that would be awesome as long as, of course, as you said, it wasn't abused, which would immediately be horribly abused.
The thing is, eminent domain has been abused, but it's also been used for a lot of good. And I think the good of eminent domain in America has outweighed the evil fairly substantially.
Yes. Here's the problem, though, right? Let's say you start, like we were just talking about how the patents benefit the pharmaceuticals a lot, right?
Yep.
Well, it'd be hard to argue with someone who said eminent domain every drug they invent because it's for the good of the people, right?
No, because the argument against that would be...
You'd put them out of business, and then there wouldn't be any more new drugs for the good of the people. So it would be a very tough balancing act figuring out when to eminent domain a drug and when to let it go.
Yep.
Which ones do we eminent domain? Which ones do we not? Of course, there's some obvious cases, like there's an outbreak of a disease, eminent domain the drug right away. That's obvious, right? But there are other cases where it's like, I don't know, there's a slight outbreak. People are afraid of it, like the bird flu. But it's not really an outbreak. It's just something people are afraid of, possibly irrationally. Should we eminent domain that? I don't know.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I have a lot to say about the drug issue in particular, and I think that's Thursday.
That just happened to come up because you're just talking about it. But
we
could talk about software also. Like, sure, eminent domaining as Shockwave file format would be good for the people. So would eminent domaining the Microsoft Office file formats. But how good for the people? Is it really... would it be worth basically destroying Adobe as a company? That would destroy Adobe as a company, basically.
Yeah, but then again, that also shows that Adobe made a good thing, but the only product Adobe has now,
well, they have
at least in the Flash domain, like in this whole Flash Macromedia whatever, is that they have a secret thing, and they keep it secret from you. That way they can sell you things to manipulate their secret.
Well, actually, the Flash program is really good at animating and doing those sorts of things.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the only reason it hasn't been duplicated is because you can't make the file format.
That's one thing about audio. And
but
I think
Photoshop, obviously, there's no secrets with the file formats there. That just can't be duplicated easily because there's lots of algorithms that no one can figure out.
But see, like audio, I think that's one of the reasons why there is a fairly robust set of open source audio tools is that the algorithms are well-known math that have been implemented.
You can go to the library and get a book that says, here's the math. Type in this equation and you're good.
Hence, I use Resound, which is pretty awesome.
Yep.
And honestly, even if I had Audition, because I've used Audition, and I don't like it, and I really would continue to use Resound and Audacity, even if Audition were given to me for free.
Yeah, all I really want is Flash and Photoshop. And I don't even really want Flash and Photoshop. I would much rather have something free that does the same thing, good enough for my purposes. I don't need 90% of the stuff they've got in there. I just need to be able to make SWFs so that I can do what I want. And if an application does it well enough for me, that's well enough.
Right, we've rambled for a bit. Let's just stop here.
Okay.
It's going to be a long week.
To bed.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Odeo. Just click the link that says Send Me an Odeo on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.